Hey everybody, welcome back to Super Taku Bros. I'm your host again, Jolemonus, with my good friend and cousin John.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Today's episode is going to be about Super Sentai, mainly focused on the recently aired Super Sentai Sakuyo Battle, or Strongest Battle. Um, just for sake of not having to say that every single fucking time, we're going to shorten it down to SSB. So whenever I refer to SSB from now on, just so you guys know, it means Super Sentai Sakuyaku Battle. Whatever.
That's a mouthful.
Indeed. So, like what I did with the Zio episode beforehand, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little backstory, some history, so you know where we're coming into this. If you guys haven't watched the first two episodes, well, shame on you. You're horrible people. And back then I explained that Super Sentai is basically Power Rangers in Japan, and it started over there. The Super Sentai series is a Japanese superhero team produced by Toei, the Toei agency in Bandai, and is aired by TV Ahashi. Sentai is a Japanese word for task force or fighting squadron. The shows are of the tokusatsu genre, obviously, since it's the Super Taku Bros, featuring live-action characters and colorful special effects, and are aimed at children. Super Sentai airs alongside Kamen Rider and is in the superhero time slot on Sunday mornings. Kind of like how we used to have Saturday morning cartoons over here. And as I already stated, in America, Super Sentai is better known as Power Rangers source material. So, we talked about our introductions into Sentai during the first episode, but to quickly recap, my first Sentai was Bakuru Sentai Abaranger, or Power Rangers Dino Thunder over here. And John hasn't actually watched any Sentai yet, have you?
Nope. I think I watched an episode of Power Ranger that I seen a video for one time. But I think that was about it.
Yeah, I run a Facebook group where I've been uploading episodes and stuff like that. And the last series that just ended, Lupin Ranger versus Pata Ranger. I uploaded some episodes there. But anyways, like I said, today we're focusing mainly on SSB. SSB is a Japanese tokusatsu television miniseries based on Toei's long-running history with the Super Sentai, featuring former cast members and the debut appearance of the main cast of Kiryusu Sentai Ryu Soldier. It began on February 17th of this year, and it followed Kaito Sentai Lupin Ranger versus Pata Ranger. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not even going to try to pronounce this shit. Just know it followed that. Anyways, it's a 4-part miniseries, and it's basically filling the gap before Ryu Soldier starts. And it actually kind of leads directly into Ryu Soldier, but we'll get back into that. Since the series is only 4 episodes long, me and John are actually going to talk about each episode individually, starting with episode 1. So at the beginning of the episode, you see Go-onger, which was an anniversary series, getting their asses handed to them. And you notice that Yellow is missing, and the bad guy happens to do Yellow's attack. Foreshadowing. The bad guy's name is Guy Sword. He looks like a purple member of U Soldier. He has a very, very similar look to them, and he actually has just basically a recolored version of their default sword. And he keeps on claiming that he's looking for the strongest warrior. And after thoroughly beating the shit out of all the Go-oingers, including Red, who shows up at the last minute trying to save everybody, he's just like, "Hadouces, I'm out." So, what did you think when you first saw that thing?
I thought he looked cool. I did wonder who he was, but well, I guess I don't need to spoil it yet.
Fair enough. So right after that, Go-kai Red gets a golden ticket from Space Willy Wonka.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I seen it. I was like, God damn, Willy Wonka, the chocolate factory up in here.
And then right after that, it cuts to Padawan Ichigo, one of the Red Rangers from the last series. The last series had 2 Red Rangers. We're not getting into that shit. We'll save it for another episode. Just know that was a thing. Anywho, he also gets a ticket from Space Willy Wonka, who actually turns out to be Japanese eye candy and not Willy Wonka at all.
And she had the name Rita, which I was like, what?
Yeah, we'll get back to that. Anyways, Space Willy Wonka tells Padawan Ichigo that he's been invited to Power Rangers Fortnite. Essentially.
Basically.
Yeah. And if he wins, she'll grant any wish he wants. And then it cuts to the planet where all this shit's taking place. It's called Planet Nemesis. And you see a shit ton of former Sentai members. Unlike in Go-onger where they got everybody. It's just like cherry picking from every season, like what they want. And as John stated, we find out at this point that her name is Rita. And that is a very obvious, blatant nod to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I mean, she kind of looked like her a little bit. She had a staff and everything, so...
Yeah, well, and not only that, it's not like Japan is ignorant to Power Rangers. Like, it's funny, I actually read this article that said they look at Power Rangers how we look at Super Sentai. They actually think it's more mature, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What? Like, people die in your show. All the time.
Right.
Almost nobody dies in our shows.
Except for Zordon. Rip Zordon.
It had to happen, bro. Had to happen. So anyways, she tells them that she's the protector of the Mebius Connect, whatever. Which
pink rock. Or purple rock.
Yeah, it's basically this purple rock, which creates a miracle every 5,000 years when the universe aligns just right. And essentially what happens is this protector calls on all these heroes to do a battle royale style fight to gather the gems, and whoever wins gets the wish. But for this particular thing, she chooses 32 groups of 5 people, and it's the only way to make this thing happen, apparently. To me, personally, it just sounds like some super sketchy shit.
It didn't really make any sense, really. I could understand like doing the battle royale to decide who gets the wish, but they had to gather the stones while they were fighting, which made no sense at all.
Well, I think it translates into the tournament style of what they were doing. Like, we'll touch back up on that because that's going to be spoilers for future stuff. Because they did actually explain why gathering those stones the way they did mattered. But that's spoilers for another part of this podcast. Anyways, so enter Team Oddball or Team Weird, depending on who's subbing the show. So this Sentai of 5 people is Captain Marvelous from Go-onger, and their motif was pirates. Over here, it was Power Rangers Super Mega Force, and we will never speak of that atrocity against nature. Moving on. Their next member was Kagura, which was Tokuger Takugo Ichigo? Or no.
Cube Ranger?
No. The train guys. She was a Pink Ranger from Tokuger. Anyways, after that we had Takuharu from Shuriken Sentai Ninja, where they were ninjas. Over here, it was Power Rangers Ninja Steel. Yeah. And then after that was the Red Ranger from Zo-onger, which has not aired over here. His name is Yamato, and their motif was just basically animals and stuff. Kind of like, think Wild Force. And the final member was Sasori Orange, or Scorpion Orange.
Stinger?
Yeah, Stinger, from Q Ranger. And he's the first ever official Orange Ranger. And again, Q Ranger, just like Zo-onger, is another series that has not aired yet in America. So that's our team. 5 just random people from 3 series that have never aired in America. And Tokuger will probably never see the light of day in America because the theme was very heavily based on trains. And trains are like a niche thing over in Japan. Like, they're super popular. The closest we got to that over here, I think, is like Thomas the Tank Engine, but that's for like preschoolers and shit. So I don't think we'll ever get a Power Rangers adaptation of Tokuger.
I don't know. Maybe. It all depends. They kind of do random stuff sometimes, so we'll see.
Well, we didn't think we were going to get Go Buster, and that turned into Beast Morphers.
Yeah. So there's a possibility.
Very, very, very slim one. I highly doubt it. But anyways, so at this point, Rita explains the whole battle system, that it's a tournament, and grabbing the purple space rocks gets you one step closer to getting your wish granted. And she also says, like, the whole team gets their wish. So it's like, it doesn't matter if, like, one of the Rangers finishes the thing, as long as one person in the group finishes to the finale, the whole team gets their wish. So the first up on the tournament that we get to see is Yamato versus Padawan Ichigo of Team Sirius, and they begin fighting. And then it cuts to showing the other teams fighting over the purple crystals and battles and stuff like that. And then cuts back to Padawan Ichigo and Yamato, and they talk about their wishes. After Yamato hears that Padawan Ichigo wishes for world peace, he decides to just demorph and stop the battle right there. I mean, no shit, just have a sit-down chat instead of fighting.
It's like, I actually didn't like that.
Well, again, that's a very cultural thing, you know. He's just like, hold on a minute, you know, because they did just kind of force them into these battles, and it's just like, world peace, you can't beat that. Like, that's a legit wish. So he's just
he's like, yeah, but then you find out what the other guy's wish is. You're like, I think world peace might be more important.
A little bit, because basically after they're done chit-chatting, like, Yamato bullshits his way into getting Padawan Ichigo to forfeit. And we don't even know what he told him. It's just, oh, well, yeah, this is my wish, so you're just going to let me win, right? And Padawan Ichigo kind of, like, says, yeah, I guess, because Yamato basically says, we've been fighting for world peace since the first Sentai. We're never going to stop fighting for world peace. And if we force it on people, it's not real. We have to fight for it. And basically, Padawan Ichigo buys it, and he's just like, all right, sure. Here you go. Take the purple crystal. And then we cut to Deca Master, or as me and my friends like to call him, Derp Wolf.
Oh, you're talking about the dog?
Doggy Kruger. Yeah.
Dude, he killed. The way he looks in this one compared to the way he looks in the American version is just night and day, and it cracked me up.
He's from Power Rangers SPD over here, and yeah, there's a reason we call him Derp Wolf. Well, the biggest difference is, at the time when they created the prosthetics for the costume, Disney owned Power Rangers, and they also owned Jim Henson, so they opted to have the Jim Henson Company make those prosthetics. That's why it looked so good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, if you look at it, you can tell it was made by the Henson Company, especially because of how it moves and emotes and stuff like that. It's pretty obvious.
Well, didn't know that.
But anyways, we're introduced to him because he's going to come back, and they're trying to set up the fact that, hey, he's here and he's important, and he's from Team Swordsman. During the intermission, we see Team Oddball interact with Yamato, and he won't tell them what he wishes for, other than keeping a promise, because he's embarrassed. I mean, like, such a tool. And then they basically just sit in their little waiting area that they had assigned to them to watch the other people battle. And Team Derp Wolf wins, because we need him, because he's important for story bits. We watch another fight, and Geysorg, the guy in the purple armor, shows up again, kicks ass, and basically just walks away like a boss.
Yeah, he's actually a cool character. I like how they kind of use him to rough up the tournament.
Yeah, it's really cool. Rather than just seeing guys like kind of sort of half-heartedly fight, it's just like now there's somewhat of stakes. At this point, Marvelous makes it clear that Geysorg is out to mess people up, related to Sentai, and if Geysorg shows up, Marvelous wants another crack at him. And at this point, it cuts to another battle, because there's a lot of jump cuts. Cuts to Takaharu, Nin Nin Red, and Stinger, the Orange Ranger, fighting Boken Silver and Go-on Red. And they actually got the actors from those two series to reprise their roles. During the battle, by deflecting a shot, Stinger finds out that there's a magical barrier around planet Nemesis, and also learns it's creating a jamming signal, keeping messages from getting off world. Of course, since they're the main characters, Stinger and Takaharu win, and the moment they do, Geizorg shows up and blasts them and asks if they're the strongest.
This seems to be his theme too, always asking if you're the strongest.
Yeah, and again, later on we'll explain why that is. Around episode 3, like, any questions you have, for the most part, get answered. But anyway, seeing this, Marvelous hauls ass, trying to get at Geizorg, because he knows something we don't at this point. And then that's basically the end of the episode, because that's where their story stops. And at that point, they cut to the Ryu Soldier Rangers, Black and Green, walking in a cave, while Green is holding one of Rita's tickets. They show off the new gimmick to sell toys, slice through a giant rock blocking their path, and the episode officially ends. And that's something you basically got to get used to. So when the story with what we're watching for SSB stops, they always save the last 3 or 4 minutes to just kind of show off toys and shit and gimmicks from Ryu Soldier. My thoughts on this particular episode are pretty simple. Everything going on Planet Nemesis is a fucking trap. I'm calling it right now. Geizorg is Gokai Yellow, taken over by something, and I really want to know what the hell Yamato is hiding. What is his promise? John, what are your thoughts on the first episode?
Mine are about the same. I kind of assumed that Rita was a bad guy at this time already because plot, and there had to be something bigger, a bigger picture than what was really going on, because I didn't think that Geizorg could really just be the end guy.
Him being there just to see who's strongest, that's not usually Sentai's way too, because usually the boss has some pretty lofty goals. So just Geizorg wanting to fight who's ever strongest, that's more of a monster of the week kind of mentality. But anyways, on to episode 2. So, picking up where episode 1 left off, it starts with Stinger and Takaharu fighting Geizorg. They ask if he wants to destroy the Super Sentai, and he's like, nah, I basically just want to kick your butt to see who's strongest. And that basically goes along with what me and John were saying, his motivations are stupidly simple.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. They don't explain it. You would think they would do some kind of flashback for some reason why he wants to be the strongest, but they don't explain it at all.
They kind of do in the last episode, in the third episode. Like I said, that episode 3 is where it's just okay, this all makes sense. It's either episode 3 or 4 where they explain what he's all about. So Marvelous shows up, nearly getting his ass beat by Geizorg for the second time. It's he just enjoys this shit, he's masochistic. But Takaharu takes the hit for him, and Marvelous does not handle this very well. Rather than being bro, thank you, he's very much why the fuck did you get in my way, asshat? Fucking hate you.
He's really intense, and I never watched his show, so I really don't know his character. Just really the hard part about watching this is I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah, that's kind of fun, right?
This guy's a dick.
Well, the thing is about Gokaiger is they weren't your traditional Sentai. They didn't fight to save people. They fought 9 times out of 10 because they were just pissed at the bad guys. And the bad guys got in their way, or they got in the bad guys' way, and they're just the fuck are you doing here? And they're whatever the fuck we want. We're pirates. You don't have to like it.
Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You're our favorite indeed.
They should do more shows like that.
It was great.
The heroes are actually bad guys, but not really.
It was pretty awesome. It's definitely in my top 5 favorite Sentais. After Geizorg just decides to walk out like a boss again, because he's just I fucked you guys up. I've done enough. I'm going to go look for somebody who can beat me. He's summoned by Rita, who tells him to get the fuck off his planet. Her planet. She's just what are you doing here? You're fucking up my tournament. Go. And then he pulls a golden ticket out of fucking nowhere, and he's oh, I'm allowed to be here. I got this, bitch. She's like, fine. So cut back to the oddball team in their waiting area, showing you that Takuharu actually got pretty fucked up. Like, his shoulder got fucked up pretty bad, and he's all, like, taped up and shit, and Yamato yells at Marvelous for being an asshat, and be like, why are you being such a jerk, man? We're a team, and you're a jerk, and I know you're not a jerk. We worked together before. And at this point, they do a flashback showing you at one point, Marvelous and Yamato actually did work together. They had like this 2-part crossover episode where Go-onger and Zyuohger were like hanging out because Zyuohger was also a anniversary series. Yeah, they didn't do nearly as much with that one though. I mean, they had the 2-parter with Go-onger, but other than that, it really didn't have nothing to do with being, hey, look, we're anniversary season.
Oh, okay.
Like, Go-onger was fucking huge. Like, they're like, hey, we've been around for 35 years, and guess what we get to do? We get to pirate all the other Sentai's powers. Like, literally. Like, they would take them.
It's kind of like a Zio.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, similar. I never really thought of it like that. But Takuharu sees the tension, and he tries to play comic relief by saying, hey, guys, look, if I push my elbow... he basically bends his arm to where he makes an elbow, and he squeezes, like, the fat between his arms to make a butt, and he's like, look here, buddy, it's a butt. Aren't I funny?
I was literally waiting for the fart jokes, and I was going to stop watching it.
Yeah, I get it. That was a bit much. I was like, I didn't even sit through all of Ninja. Like, it was pretty agonizing. And that's one of the... Go ahead.
I tried to watch Ninja Steel, but then there was fart jokes, and I was like, man, can't even watch this.
Oh, Ninja was just as bad, man. It flopped pretty hard in Japan. It did not do well. Because they tried everything in the kitchen sink approach to, like, the Zords and stuff, and...
Yeah.
It's just... Nah, it was too all over the place. It was not a good show. It was one of the few Sentais that I started watching that I just couldn't finish. And I sat through Go-onger, which was pretty horrible too. Anyways, during this comic relief, Frida pops up on the screen, and she announces that Guy Zorg is officially a contestant in the tournament. Everybody leaves the rest area at this point, leaving Yamato the only one there. And then we cut to Stinger in the hallway, desperately trying to contact the rest of his team to find out that there's a jamming signal on top of there being a barrier around the planet. So that means even though they can morph, they can't like call for any backup or anything off planet. It's just they can communicate with each other and that's it. So while everybody else, except for Yamato, has left the room, Rita comes on the TV and she announces that the next fight will be Yamato, Marvelous, and Stinger. And Yamato doesn't really think that's going to work, especially with Marvelous being an asshole and Stinger's gone. So rather than telling anybody, he just says, oh, I'll go do it. I'll go do it alone. You know, like a dummy who says teamwork is most important, you know, but I'm going to work alone.
Oh, yeah. It was actually a good fight, though. That was like one of the parts I did enjoy, that fight.
Yeah, that fight was fucking epic. Like, it was a good fight. After that, it cuts to Takuharu trying to cheer up Marvelous, and Kagura shows up. Tender moments, blah, blah, blah. Exposition, blah, blah, blah. Nothing really important happens in this moment. And then we get to see the fight scene between Yamato and 3 other Rangers. And what's really cool is they choose a Lion Ranger, a Condor Ranger, and a Shark Ranger.
A Shark, yeah.
Well, what's interesting is during that fight, like, Yamato has 3 forms as well. And one of them is air-based, ground-based, and water-based. So it kind of offset each other. It was really neat. And while we were watching the fight, we finally found out what Yamato's wish is. And apparently, like, before all this shit went down, he was visiting this kid in a hospital. I guess for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he wanted to see a Power Ranger or something.
That's actually funny.
Well, the kid died, so yeah. He got his wish. He got to see a Power Ranger.
Got real dark for a second there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, while Yamato was bonding with the kid's like, I want to see a lot of animals, and Yamato's just like, I'll take him to the savannah one day. Then he comes in to check on the kid, and the kid's dead, and he's like, so Yamato's wish is the most insane, stupid wish compared to fucking world peace. He wants to bring the kid back for a day, just long enough to take him to the savannah to see those animals. Just like, you want to bring a kid back from the dead.
And I'm like, they didn't have a zoo in Japan?
They have zoos in Japan.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But of course, Yamato wins because they have to, because plot development.
Well, yeah.
So Takaharu runs off to bring Yamato back to the waiting room because Yamato has his ass thoroughly handed to him, even though he won. He's pretty beaten. So Takaharu drags him back to the waiting room, and or goes to get him to drag him back to the waiting room. And on the way out, he gets ambushed by Geysorg, because it's just like, oh, I see you're all alone. Have you never watched a fucking horror movie?
Well, who knew he was gonna pop out like that?
I guess, but still, like, when you have like a random like killer bad guy who's just out to fuck everybody's days up, you don't walk around alone.
Well, the other thing too is like they just fought him, and you're not thinking he's gonna come out and try to kick his ass again.
I guess. But anyways, after that, it does a jump cut, because jump cuts, saying that a battle's been going on too long. And Rita decides to deploy Geysorg to go stop the battle from taking so fucking long. And she now starts referring to him as her wild card. She's like, so from now on, if shit gets too boring, I'll send in this purple guy to fuck up your days.
And that doesn't really make any sense throughout the whole plot, for the whole plot of what's actually happening.
Well, I think it does because she wants to move shit along. She wants it to. She basically wants the wish to happen sooner than later. So basically, she's getting impatient. That's what I got from it.
I mean, I guess, but sending another, because that's just going to make the other Sentai stop fighting each other to fight him, which slows it down even more. Really.
I suppose. But anyways, after that, after we see Geysorg come in and start fucking with the teams that are already fighting, we cut to Stinger, who. They didn't really show us what he was doing. He's off searching for clues, and he comes across this hidden room where there's books about Super Sentai, and he's going through the books, and he finds something that looks super important. And then they cut away from him. Marvelous, not learning his lesson, decides to run off and fight Geysorg again. Geysorg basically calls Marvelous a little bitch, and he's like, why should I fight you? I've already kicked your ass twice. And at this point, Marvelous is like, all right, time to bring up the big guns. And he starts doing Gokai Change, which basically means using these things called Ranger Keys. He can access literally any Sentai before him's power. And he starts like quick changing and using that ability to beat the crap out of Geysorg. And he actually kind of sort of wins for once.
He did actually kind of sort of win, which I thought was funny. And I was like, well, he's not that badass, apparently.
But one thing that's interesting is during the fight with Geysorg, instead of using Gokai Yellow's technique, he starts using Takuharu's technique, leading to what I was saying before, that this thing is taking people over. And when Marvelous kind of sort of wins, he knocks off Geysorg's helmet, revealing, oh fuck, it's Takaru, or aka Nin Nin Red. So it's like there's a reason he's using other Sentai members' powers, or techniques at least, because he's taking them over. And that's the end of the episode. Kind of. Now we have to get the Ryu soldier bullshit that is just there for toy sales. So it cuts to Green and Black again. They're still in a cave, and they come across more Ryu souls, which is basically the gimmicks of the next season, pushing the toys again. It's just like, oh, look at all these toys that kids need to go out and buy. And end of the episode.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we already got this crap. Let's throw it back down.
Yeah, I don't need that one. What's this one? Oh, it's nothing. It's empty. and it's like a special colored one that I've already seen commercials for, where it's just like the funny thing is, like the orange one they picked up, John,
Yeah.
and then put back down. I was like, I don't want this one; it's empty. Well, they're running a special campaign in Japan, going to certain like toy stores and shit. If you go up to a teller and you have to say the secret word, and they make it look like you have to whisper it, like you know something that no one else does. And if you say Ryu Soldier, they'll just give you one of those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Now, that particular little thing being empty is kind of sort of important, and they get back to that. But anyways, on to the final thoughts of episode 2. My final thoughts is Yamato is a fucking idiot. Because after all the shit he spouted, getting up in Marvelous's face about teamwork, going off and fighting on his own, and then pretending like that was a cool thing to do, and then his fucking wish, I just think this guy's a goddamn moron. Stinger seems to be the only one on the team trying to do something logical, which, he's doing stuff behind the scenes trying to figure out why they're there. He seems to me like he thinks it's a trap too, which I like. He's the only one out of the team who's just like, something about this seems really fucking off. You don't just get called to another planet by Space Willy Wonka and told you gotta fight people for no good damn reason.
Yeah, but apparently that is actually what used to happen.
Yeah.
So apparently it does happen.
Yeah, but I guess if it only happens every 500 years, and if people aren't telling the story, okay, I see that there, but honestly, like, you can't tell me he's the only one who would be like, something about this shit ain't right.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say when you live in a universe where there's giant monsters and people that transform and use giant robots to smash monsters, and there's spaceships and all this other stuff and magic and what you call it. So why couldn't there be a dude that grants wishes?
All right, fair enough. My final thought on episode 2 is Marvelous needs to stop being overly focused on Geysorg and ask for help.
Yeah, he does. I guess that's really like, because they do have like this part, and I don't know which episode it was, I can't remember, but where they have this moment where they're like, yeah, kids, teamwork makes the dream work. That's what I kind of feel like the whole episode, all the episodes are about, are kind of like teamwork, yeah.
I guess. But anyways, on to episode 3. And I'm sorry, guys. I know this one's going to run a little bit longer than what we're used to, but I just want to get through these 4 episodes, and then we'll call it a day. So, on to episode 3. So, picking up right where episode 2 left off, right after Geysorg's helmet got knocked off, guess what he does? He whips Marvelous's ass for the 3rd time.
And it's like, why didn't he just whip his ass to begin with?
It's just like, I'm seeing a pattern start to happen here.
Yeah, and you're just like, nothing nothing he's going to be able to do is going to beat him.
Yeah, not at this point.
And like, the first thing I thought was like, why isn't he just using his final form?
Who? Marvelous?
Yeah.
I don't know.
As a plot, gotta save it for later.
Well, no, I mean, anybody who's seen Go-onger would know about it, and they have shown it in the commercials. Basically, his quote-unquote final form is using the gold key from Gokai Silver that gives him, like, this armor and shit and blah, 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 yakety schmackety. If you guys watch the 4th episode, you'll see it. Moving on. So, after Geysorg beats Marvelous's ass again, they cut to Stinger, and he's still, like, searching in that room. And at this point, he meets Doogie. But for the rest of this series, I'm going to call him Dirtwolf. Deal with it. So
seems fine because he's definitely looks like a Dirtwolf.
So it cuts to Dirtwolf, and basically, Dirtwolf explains to Stinger that several weeks ago, a weird magnetic field just popped up around planet Nemesis, and it seems to be like quote unquote man-made. And at this point, they both reveal that they're not really there for the tournament. They're both there undercover. Because Stinger is actually from another universe, like an alternate dimension. And when that field went up, it was so fucking strong, it cut through to his dimension. And they sent him out to go check it out. Because the cool thing about Q Ranger is and their reality, they are the only Sentai that's ever existed.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because they actually did a crossover episode with Deca Ranger, aka Power Rangers SPD, where they came to the main Sentai universe, and they're like, "There's been guys like us for forever," and they're like, "Yeah, kinda." They're like, "We're the only ones that exist in all of our like universe," and they're like, "Well, that must suck for you guys. We got like shit tons of allies." Stinger shows Derp Wolf the book that he's been looking at, and he's like, "I can't read it. I can't read this weird moonspeak shit." So
he's like, "I don't speak your book language, buddy."
So Derp Wolf takes out his morpher and scans it, trying to translate it. They are promptly attacked by random foot soldiers. Stinger tells Derp Wolf to go warn the others that like it's not what it seems. And by random foot soldiers, I basically mean like the putties of several different Sentai seasons.
Yeah, so one of the putties really caught my eye. It was the blue guys with the blonde wigs. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Immediately I was like, what in the hell?
Yeah, they were never out over here. That is definitely from a series that we never got over here.
I was like, this has to be something real old.
Yeah, it was. It for sure was. I don't even remember, but I know they never saw light of day over here.
It was so funny.
So Derp Wolf's off to go warn the rest of Team Oddball. And while fighting the foot soldiers, Geizor shows up and knocks Stinger out. While going to warn the others, Derp Wolf finds Marvelous sprawled out on the floor and helps him up and gets him back to the waiting area. Everybody basically gets filled in. How Geizorg is, at this point, is pretty obvious. He's an armor that possesses people, and how it had Luca before it got to Takuru. And that they're also explained about like the book and everything, and how like Stinger and Derp Wolf are undercover and stuff like that. And while they're talking, Rita pops up on the screen and says the next fight is Derp Wolf versus Kagura. And since we haven't seen her do dick this whole series, it's about time.
It was actually a good fight too. So
yeah, it was not bad. Derp Wolf decides to throw the fight to bait Geizorg into thinking Kagura is way stronger than she is. And right after he loses, he gives Kagura his morpher, because it's translated the book, and gives her a pair of handcuffs, foreshadowing. And the reason he does that is like after you lose, you're kicked off the planet. So that's why
now he can't morph anymore because he doesn't have a morpher.
Yeah, well they'll get it back to him. That shouldn't be too ridiculously hard to do because she's part of that reality. So getting it back to him would be as easy as just giving it to Marvelous and having it fly it to him.
Yeah, because he's gonna do that.
I don't know. That's neither here nor there. The point of the matter is, they got the book translated, so I can figure out what the fuck that book said.
Nothing good.
Apparently, yeah. But as they try to set it up, Geizorg does show up. And guess what? He kicks Kagura's ass. Because, that's what he does. He shows up and kicks everyone's ass. And this prompts Marvelous and Yamato to join the fight. They finally win, like legit win this time. And you'll never guess who's inside the armor. It was fucking Stinger. So where the fuck is...
Yeah, I was like, what? Because I've forgotten that they had fought earlier in like the hallways or something. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was genuinely surprising to me too. But at this point, I'm thinking, so where the fuck is Takuru?
Got him tied up in the closet somewhere.
More in the closet. Oh God, we're not going to talk about R. Kelly right now. Moving on. Stinger reveals while being possessed, he had a glimpse of Geizorg's memories, and he found out that Luca was for sure taken by him, but he doesn't know where she is. At this point, Kagura takes out Derp Wolf's morpher and shows Stinger that the book is translated, and shows the team that as I stated really early on, it's a fucking trap. Because I fucking knew it. Like the first episode, before the first episode was over, and they were just explaining what was going on, I was like, it's a trap. It's got to be a fucking trap.
It's always a trap. Why wouldn't it be a trap?
I don't know. But the best part about this, get this shit. The trap was set to summon Ultimate Die Satan. Yep. Fucking
I rolled
Satan.
my eyes at that too. I was like, yeah, God, yeah.
I was like, no fucking way. So die means DAI, spelled die, is roughly translated to mean the word big. So it's ultimate big Satan. I was like, what the fuck is even going on? Oh my god. But they're like, okay, we gotta fucking stop it. We gotta stop it. And before they do, Yamato tells Marvelous, well, we gotta go save Luca. We know that Geizorg has her. We gotta go save her. So Marvelous, being the genius that he is, decides, I know how to do it. And he takes Geizorg's helmet, just shoves it on his head. And that's it. That's the end of SSB for that part. Except for the random Ryu Soldier shit we gotta show at the end of every episode.
Yeah, when Marvelous said he was going to when he was putting that one, I was like, that's actually kind of cool. Thought they were going to have to whip him up.
But they don't show us, they're just like, nope, that's the end of the episode. Tune in next week.
Yep.
So they cut to Green and Black Ryu Soldier, and they're in the cave again. Ryu Soldier, the green guy, pulls out his ticket, and now finally Green and Black are teleported to Planet Nemesis. I mean, they had the ticket since episode 1, but apparently it didn't want to kick in till the ass end of episode 3.
I didn't get that either. I was like, what?
And just to make things even more confusing, a random dude walks in the cave and takes the same path we already saw. Green and Black take, gets to the area where they came across all those Ryu souls, like the toy gimmicks, finds the orange empty one and picks it up, and he's like, this is what I've been looking for. And then real end of the episode, and I'm like, what's going on? It hurts my brain. Why?
And then they're like, you'll find out when the show actually comes out.
Yeah. So my final thoughts on episode 3 is lots of shit happened. We finally got some answered questions, like some important ones, I feel.
It was actually the best episode out of all 4 of them, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Like, a lot of exposition, like a lot of resolution, I think. It's just like, okay, this makes sense. And it's a fucking trap, like I called it in episode 1. And the best takeaway from this episode, in my opinion, is Ultimate Die Satan. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just great. I mean, Ultimate Die Satan, you just don't get cooler than that. So, bear with me, guys. We're down to the last episode, okay? It's almost over. Episode 4 starts exactly where episode 3 left off. Marvelous putting on the helmet, using his access into Geizorg's memories to figure out where Luca is, and he finds out Takuharu is also captive with her. When they get to Takuharu and Luca, of course, they save them. He manages to get the helmet off, and how he gets the helmet off is pretty fucking awesome. Luca shoots him in the goddamn head, like point blank.
Yep.
It's like Luca's like, fuck your shit.
I'm mad.
Yeah, she's a feisty little piece of...
I'm a sassy woman. I need no man.
True story. But anyways, we finally get some explanation on what the fuck Geizorg truly is. So we find out that the Geizorg armor was actually created by the emotions of a super aggressive tribe that tried to conquer the galaxy and failed. So those emotions basically became the armor, and I guess the armor still wants to take over the galaxy. So it's trying to find the strongest person to be its host, because the armor's been around for like thousands of years, and it keeps on hopping from person to person to person, because when you beat the person that it's currently on, it's like, okay, well, you're stronger than this person, so now I want you as my host.
Well, I guess we'll wait till the end of the episode before I bring it up.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it'll kind of spoil the rest of the episode, I guess.
All right, fair enough. So with Geizorg finally out of the way, we cut to Stinger and Yamato confronting Rita. We find out that the Terminate was actually a thing meant for the good guys, but the person who was supposed to hold it was banished by Rita, so she could summon Ultimate Dai Satan.
Ultimate Dai Satan.
I can't fucking get over that. Oh my god. Alright, anyways, so apparently Rita has seen some shit. Her planet ran out of resources, her people died, her people claiming to be heroes victimized children of the planet, and she now wants to see the universe burn, because rather than getting the fuck over it, and trying to live a life, she's just like, no, I fucking hate everyone and everything. They all need to die. I'm just like, you need some strong antidepressants, woman.
For real.
And Stinger, basically saying kind of what I did, but in a much, nicer way. He's just like, no, you need to live. You need to get over it. You need to see that even though, like, everybody was an asshat, you survived and you can live a better life. And she's just like, no, fuck you.
That's exactly what I wanted her to do, too. I just wanted to be like, nope, fuck you. And she did.
And in classic Rita fashion, and when I say Rita, I mean like Rita from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, she throws her fucking wand and makes her monster grow! And then wham, bam, kablam, Ultimate Dai Satan appears! Now, just to explain how bad this is, Ultimate Dai Satan apparently can destroy the entire fucking galaxy in mere moments if he feels the gumption to do so.
Yep.
So he's the size.
He apparently wasn't not feeling it.
Yeah, he's the size of your classic giant monster of the week, but because of the barrier, the guys can't call on their Zords in any way, shape, or form. So they're kind of uber fucked. Yamato and Stinger desperately try to stop Ultimate Dai Satan, and of course, since he's the size of a giant monster, they don't have Zords, they get their asses beat. Rita sends foot soldiers to fight the team, and the team morph, do this really awesome roll call, and
I was actually happy about they actually did a real morphing sequence.
Yeah.
Which they hadn't done throughout the entire show.
Yeah, to piggyback off what John was saying, every time they quote unquote morphed, it was just like jump cut. But this, they actually legit morphed, and it looked cool, and it was really nicely done. But the team realizes they're pretty super screwed, so they all access whatever super modes they have available. Meanwhile, while the guys are trying to keep Satan and the foot soldiers busy, we cut to Luca, who is trying to take down the barrier, so they can call their Zords and stand somewhat of a fighting chance. Even in their super modes, they can't fucking put a dent into Satan. I mean, he's Satan.
I mean, I didn't think they were going to be able to.
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to like call in each of their Megazords and somehow magically combine all 5 of them.
That would have been pretty fucking epic. Luca finally breaks the barrier, summoning the Gokai Galleon, which is this giant red pirate ship, to at least hold Satan down for a second, because he basically rams him into a mountain and holds him down long enough for Marvelous to pull off a new special move. Using Go Red's Ranger Key, which is the very first ever Super Sentai Red Ranger, he decides to harness the power of all the other Sentais by passing the now glowing key that's turned into like this glowing ball from Ranger to Ranger, like in a fashion that's very similar to the very first Ranger team's special attack. It ends in a big red spiked ball that slams into Satan and defeats him by using the power of all the other teams. But in doing so, it totally depletes their power, Team Oddball's power, and they all demorph and they're just sprawled on the ground, like barely able to move.
Just spent.
Yeah, well, they basically blew their loads.
Yeah, that's definitely what they did.
Well, Rita wasn't just going to stand there and let, like, her plans be foiled. So, she becomes the new host for Geysorg. And seeing the other Rangers basically on the ground flubbernucked, she's just like, here comes the pain, bitches! And at the very last second, we finally get Green and Black Ryu Soldier there, like, with the team to stop this shit. They come in at just the right moment. While fighting Rita, they show off the new gimmick of the series. Using the Ryu souls that I talked about earlier, they put them in their swords and they get special abilities.
Which I actually think is a cool gimmick.
It's an interesting gimmick because, like, basically their Ryu souls have two forms. One of them makes it look like the head of a dinosaur, and the other one makes it look like this little, like, knight guy who's holding up a special weapon that has something to do with the power they're about to get. And I remember you were saying earlier you didn't like the Green Ranger's power because he uses this one that makes him super fast. But
I don't like it at all.
Go ahead, John. Tell him.
It's a freaking shoe.
Yeah, it's a freaking shoe. It basically, when they get the power up, their arm takes on this new form of what the power looks like, and it was a shoe. Yeah.
It was crap.
Rita wasn't just gonna like let Green and Black come in and stop her. So what she does is she grabs Kagura and uses her like a meat shield. By using the powers of the Ryu souls, Green and Black are like, fuck you. Green becomes super fast and tries to attack Rita, and Black, with his power, basically gets like this really long whip to free Kagura, opening Rita up for Green's super fast attack. After they kick her ass, Stinger again tries to reason with Rita and handcuffs her. He's just like, he basically says,
you're going to jail.
Yeah, well, you're going to jail, but it's just like,
think about what you've done.
Yeah, if you didn't somewhat believe in justice, you would have done this like long before or some shit. He basically tries to make her seem like less of a bad guy.
But she was trying to destroy the universe, so I guess.
I don't
know. I don't know.
Well, everybody won, hooray! And one thing I forgot to mention. So when she finally did get her wish granted, the big purple rock that grants the wish exploded into shit tons of pieces. So there's pieces all over the place, but Takaharu happens to find one. And after everything's said and done, he gives it to Yamato, and he's just like, here you go. Maybe it's enough for you to keep your promise and grant your wish. And I'm just like, out of all the fucking wishes, you're going to let him bring a dead boy back? I mean...
Could have world peace.
So stupid.
What I think is funny, if he's going to wish the dead boy to come back for one day, why not wish him to just be back alive permanently?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, and just when you think it's all over, cut to Geysorg's helmet in the fire. Somebody picks that fucker up. It ain't over, bitches.
That's what I was like, ooh.
Yeah, well, I think it's setting it up for Geysorg to come back during Ryu Soldier, which I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if that's going to be the running gimmick in Ryu Soldiers, like Geysorg's just taking control of people, and he's still trying to find the strongest person.
Well, and where we thought that was over, it's not. Like, it cuts back to the cave with that guy they introduced at the ass end of episode 3. He picks up that orange Ryu soul that we thought was empty, and he's like, good, now I can use this. He turns it into a Red Ranger Ryu soul, and he's just like, now I can make him a ranger. Or essentially. So that's definitely like straight tying into Ryu Soldier.
Yeah, for sure.
And my final thoughts on episode 4, pretty fucking epic. Seeing everybody morph was really, really nicely done. Their super modes are really cool to see all together. Seeing Luca back again, because Luca is bae. And just overall, it was a fun, short little side story. I liked it.
Yeah, the last 2 episodes were definitely better than the first 2. But, I mean, I did enjoy the power-ups and stuff, but I was kind of hoping for some Zords.
Yeah, me too, but I guess they didn't have that in the budget, even though when they did bring in the Gokai Galleon, it was all CG.
Yeah, I was like, Just make it fucking change form.
I don't know. I did like it. It was a fun little side story that we don't usually get too many of those, and it was neat seeing like that weird of a team put together just for this one little thing.
Yeah, I was wondering how they decided who was going to be on that team. I was like, all the Rangers you could have picked to put on a team were like these the guys who didn't have anything going on that day.
Well, I kind of understand why they got Yamato and Marvelous because they're both from anniversary seasons.
Yeah, that's fine, but I was like, how'd they pick the pink train ranger versus any of the other female rangers?
Yeah, I see your point. And then having like a 4-man team with one chick.
Well, they seem to do that often, so...
Well, yeah, in Japan, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that has happened more often than not in Japanese Sentai. I can't tell you how many times the Yellow Ranger over here was a guy over there when it was a girl over here. I mean,
yeah, you can always tell when they don't have the skirt.
Pretty much, and you can see the obvious dong.
Yeah.
So, plans for the next episode, John? Because I ain't got shit. I didn't plan that far ahead.
The next episode?
No, of Super Taku Bros.
Oh, well, the next episode, we'll definitely be doing Zio and Ryu Soldier.
Yeah, from here on out, now that we got a good base set up, we're probably going to do like an episode by episode review of Zio and whatever Sentai's out, or Kamen Rider and whatever Sentai's out. So that'll basically be what every episode that we of Super Taku Bros that we put out is going to be a rehash, or any like Takusatsu news we just want to bullshit about, like, or video games or movies and shit. Like, I know I said I wanted it to be about those 3 things. It's just these first 3 introductory episodes have been a little overwhelming, and now that they're out of the way, we can basically talk about whatever the fuck we want from here on out.
And the episode shouldn't be an hour long like this one is.
Yeah, I'm now looking forward to editing this shit. Fuck my life. All right, well, thanks guys for joining us for this super long edition of Super Taku Bros, and join us for the next one whenever we get it made.
Yeah, see you next week.
Hadouses.